So in this question, I have a diagram which shows a scale drawing of a tennis court, and then I have it below. So it's just a simple rectangle that we have here. I'm told that the scale of the drawing is 1 to 200, and I'm asked to use this to work out the perimeter of the real tennis court, given my answer in metres. So here I can see that I'm working with a scale. I don't have any side lengths or any measurements like that. So initially here, I know that I'm going to need to measure the sides of this rectangle that we have here so that I can scale them up to find the actual length. So I would measure the width and the height of the rectangle with a ruler. So lining up my 0 point with 1 point here, measuring to this point here. And that should give me a width for the rectangle of about 11.5 centimetres, or just above or below. And then the height of the rectangle, by lining my 0 point up here and measuring to this point here, so measuring this line, will give me a height of about 5.8 centimetres. I can now use this and scale it up to work out what the width and height of the actual tennis court are going to be. So if the scale is 1 to 200, this means that I'm going to need to multiply both of my values by 200 to find the real values. So for example, 1 centimetre in the drawing is going to be 200 centimetres in real life. So if I do the width first, I can take 11.5 and multiply that by 200, and that gives me an answer of 2,300, remembering this is in centimetres still. And then similarly, 5.8 for the height multiplied by 200 gives me an answer of 1,160, again in centimetres. So these are the widths. This is the width and height of the actual tennis court in centimetres. Now if I want to work out its perimeter, I'm going to need to sum all sides of the rectangle. So it's basically 2 lots of its height plus 2 lots of its width. So I could write this out as 2,300 plus 2,300, or 2,300 multiplied by 2, add on 1,160, add 1,160 again, to find the total perimeter of the real tennis court. And that then gives me an answer of 6,920, remembering that this is still in centimetres. So I now have the perimeter of the actual tennis court, the real tennis court. However, I've not quite finished, as the question asked me to give my answer in metres here. So I'm going to need to convert this centimetres into metres. Now if I'm going from centimetres into metres, so going this way, we need to divide our value by 100. If we were going from metres to centimetres, we would multiply by 100, but that's not necessary for this calculation. So I can take 6,920, divide that by 100, and that's going to give me an answer of 69.2 metres for the perimeter of the real tennis court. So now as for how each of the marks are awarded here, we would get the first mark for doing a correct measurement of the length or width of the tennis court. So this can be anywhere in a range of a couple of millimetres either side of both of the values. The second mark here is going to be for a process to find the actual dimensions. So for one of these calculations here, multiplying it up by 200, either the length or the width. And then the third mark is going to be for a process to convert into metres. So we did that at the end here. You could have done it while we had our original measurements, but I've just saved one calculation as I didn't have to do this for both of the individual width and length. And then there's going to be another mark for finding the perimeter. So that's what we did here, finding the perimeter of the total shape. And then the final mark is going to be for an answer. Our answer is 69.2 metres. However, any answer in the range of 67.6 to 70.8, this is just allowing for the variation in measurements at the start. is going to get you that final mark there. So that's how the 5 marks for this question were all awarded. They were quite easy to pick up as long as you worked through the question systematically and remembered to convert back into metres at the end.